My name is Violet. 6 months ago, I started a new life. I left everything behind. No goodbyes, no explanations. I simply vanished. I landed in this town, a place I'd never been, and found a job at Crimson. It's a bar, the kind with dim lights and even dimmer secrets. Crimson became my refuge, my sanctuary. I kept to myself mostly. I didn't talk about my past. My once long blonde hair was now short and dyed black, a rebellion against my old self. The other employees seemed to understand my need for privacy. They didn't pry, they just accepted me. It was a relief, a weight off my shoulders. I found my rhythm at Crimson, the clinking of glasses, the murmur of conversations, the smoky haze hanging in the air. I learned to make cocktails, each one a work of delicious art. At least that's what Mark, the senior bartender, liked to say. Customers loved my drinks. They said I had a gift. For the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of belonging. I had found a place where I could blend in, where I could be invisible. But even in the shadows, I couldn't escape the feeling that something was amiss. Everyone at Crimson was friendly, too friendly maybe. They treated each other like family, not like merely people they worked with. They laughed together, shared meals, and celebrated birthdays. It was almost too perfect, like a scene from a movie. The customers were friendly too. They were regulars mostly. They came for the drinks, the atmosphere, and the company. They knew each other's names. They shared stories and jokes. It felt like a tight-knit community, a place where everyone was welcome. For the first time in a long time, I felt welcome too. There was Jenny, with her fiery red hair and quick wit. She had decided to make me her friend from day one. Whether I wanted a friend was of little consequence. By now, I was more than grateful she hadn't given up on me. Then there was Mark, the bartender, who taught me everything I knew about mixing drinks. His dimples and easygoing charm was a hit with the ladies at the bar. And we can't forget Norm, the bouncer, a mountain of a man with a surprisingly gentle soul. We were a team. We worked hard, and we played hard. We looked out for each other. At least that's what it seemed like on the surface. As the weeks turned into months, I started to notice things, little things at first, things that seemed off, out of place. Norm, for example, had a peculiar way of talking. He tended to use strange expressions, blending the outdated and the trendy. He once called a troublesome customer a cad, yet another time tried to use the expression lit in the entirely wrong context. And then there was the fact that none of my co-workers ever seemed to get sick. No colds, no flu, not even a sniffle. They could all drink like fish, yet never looked hungover the next day. And their skin was always flawless, without a blemish or wrinkle in sight. They moved with a grace and poise one would attribute to royalty. At first, I dismissed these observations as my imagination running wild. I was still getting used to my new life, and there was no denying the old one had left me with a healthy dose of paranoia. I still had a tendency to look over my shoulder and scan every shadow I passed, so I chalked it all up to my nerves. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something strange was going on at Crimson. One night, after closing time, I overheard a conversation between Jenny and Mark. They were whispering in a dark corner of the bar, their voices hushed and urgent. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but their tone sent chills down my spine. I tried to ignore them. I told myself it was none of my business. I wouldn't want anyone to eavesdrop on me, would I? But curiosity got the better of me. As I walked past them, I pretended to drop a stack of napkins. I bent down to pick it up, hoping to catch a few words of their conversation. "We have to be more careful," Jenny hissed. "She's starting to notice things." "You're overreacting," Mark replied, his voice low and reassuring. "This is still new to her, of course she's curious. She needs time to adjust, get used to things." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. They were talking about me. They knew I was suspicious. But what were they hiding? And what were they so worried I would see? The air crackled with unspoken tension that evening. I had taken extra time to get ready, carefully applying winged eyeliner and a bold red lip. It was a shield, a sort of defense mechanism for me. The incident that changed everything happened on a Friday night. The bar was packed, the music was loud, and the drinks were flowing. I was working behind the bar with Jenny. We were rushing to keep up with the orders. As I reached for a bottle of vodka, my hand brushed against a tray of glasses. It teetered on the edge of the shelf, then tumbled down. Shards of glass exploded across the floor. One shard flew towards Jenny, catching her arm. "Jenny!" I cried out, my voice lost in the din of the bar. The shard had cut her. Blood welled up on her arm, a gash clearly visible. I rushed to her side, my heart racing with panic. She tried assuring me she was fine, but I needed to make sure for myself. But as I looked closer at her arm, my blood ran cold. The cut was gone. There was no sign of injury, only a smear of blood on her skin where the cut should have been. Jenny stared at her arm, her face pale and drawn. She looked at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and warning. "What? How?" I stammered, unable to comprehend what I had just witnessed. "You shouldn't have seen that," Jenny whispered, her voice trembling. She grabbed a cloth and wiped the blood from her arm. It disappeared instantly, leaving no trace. It was as if the cut had never happened. "What's going on, Jenny? What are you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jenny hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I can't tell you," she said, "but you're not safe here anymore. Unless you can forget what you just saw, you need to leave." I wanted to run, to get as far away from Crimson as possible, but something held me back. Fear, yes, but also a burning curiosity. What was Jenny? What was wrong with everyone at Crimson? What had I stumbled into? Jenny's warning echoed in my mind. I was in danger. But from whom? From what? I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice, about to be plunged into a dark and terrifying abyss. I thought about my old life, the life I had so desperately wanted to escape. It seemed like a lifetime ago. I had traded one danger for another. I couldn't stay at Crimson, not anymore, but I couldn't run away either, not without answers. The days that followed were a blur. I went through the motions of my life, but my mind was elsewhere. I did my best to look unbothered, as if I had heeded Jenny's warning it erased that night from my mind. But I hadn't. I couldn't. I watched my co-workers closely, searching for clues. They continued to behave as if nothing had happened. Their smiles were just as bright. Their laughter was just as easy. But I saw the truth in their eyes, the secret they were hiding, the danger that lurked beneath the surface. I felt like a prisoner in my own life, trapped in a mystery I didn't understand, hunted by secrets that whispered in the shadows. I knew I couldn't stay at Crimson, but where could I go? Who could I trust? One thing was clear. I couldn't ignore what I had seen. I had to find out the truth. Even if it put me in danger, even if it meant facing my worst fears, I had a choice to make. Run and hide from the darkness that had seeped into my life, or confront it. Unravel the secrets of Crimson and face the consequences. My heart pounded in my chest. Fear and curiosity waged war within me. I took a deep breath and made my decision. I would stay. I was tired of running. I would uncover the truth, whatever the cost.